Over the 37 years Mario has been around, no game was as important and influential as Super Mario 64, releasing on June 23, 1996. This was Nintendo's first attempt at taking a 2D character and bringing them over to 3D. But there were no giant shoulders to stand on. They had to be pioneers, and this is the man that led them, Shigeru Miyamoto, also known as the creator of Mario. Miyamoto first conceived the 3D Mario design 5 years before development started on Super Mario 64. Miyamoto had a vision for this 3D Mario, but he knew that the SNES was not powerful enough to handle what he had in mind, so they had to release it on their next console, the Nintendo 64. Development lasted 3 years, with 1 year spent on design concept and around 2 years on software development. In those 3 years, they created one of the most influential games of all time. So what was so important about this game in particular? Well, it cemented everything, from the look of Princess Peach's castle to the voice of Mario. Before 1996, Mario sounded like this.
Hey, paisanos! It's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show!
Yikes. But its biggest influence was on the gaming industry. It created the standard of the 3D camera system. You have to remember that before Super Mario 64, there was little to no player-controlled camera in a video game. The camera was static, or if it was dynamic, the player could not control it. Months were spent trying to decide on how a camera would act and the views it could give the player. The original concept having a fixed path like Super Mario RPG, but they ultimately decided on a free-roaming 3D design, a design that they still use 22 years later. For a lot of people, this is their first time using a camera system, and their first time using an analog stick. Previously, Nintendo's controller looked like this. So how do you teach players to get used to this? You let them play. Super Mario 64 gave you a playground to learn everything. Outside of the castle is a wide open area with no threats. You can play and explore with no time limit. Another new feature for Mario games. Then as soon as you get curious enough to go to the castle, you meet your cameraman. He explains how to use the C buttons in greater detail and a story reason for being there. Modern game tutorials can be so intrusive and boring. Actually playing and figuring out how to use the controller is much more satisfying than whatever this is.
To move right, hold down the movement button, then drag the mouse to the left. Wonderful!
The last main game in the Mario series before Super Mario 64 was Super Mario World, a classic 2D platformer where your objective is to get from the left side of the screen to the right side. With Mario 64, the entire landscape was different. You didn't go left to right beating stage by stage, you had to get 120 stars in whatever order you wanted. As a new player in 1996, it could be overwhelming and confusing, so the development team made the beginning levels teach you movement. This is Mario Evolved. You can move in any direction, jump in any direction, slide in any direction, and swim in, well, swimming in this game is ass, but you can try to swim in any direction. But the point is, this isn't classic Mario. You can go left, right, up, or down, but that's your choice to make. This game was a freeing experience, telling the players to find the stars at their own pace and their own way, and that was revolutionary. Well, I do think it's important to remember where you came from by revisiting classic ideas. What I think Nintendo is finally catching on to is evolution is what keeps ideas fresh. Use that foundation and build off it. That's what makes games become classics. That process made Super Mario 64 the game that changed it from playing Mario to feeling like you are Mario.
Here we go!